Canada has also like the most underrated music scene ever because you have so many good bands, but it's underrated, you know, like, well, we were interviewing the guy from Metz the day before yesterday, and well, you also have, well, from Metz to Justin Bieber, you have everything in Canada.
It's pretty wild,
true.
and all from like a very small, sort of concentrated group of people too.
That's really cool.
I do remember in early 2000s, like Our Lady Peace. I don't know if they still exist, that band.
I don't know.
Matthew Good Band.
Yeah, that was the sort of like the generation before all of the bands that we just, you know, were a part of.
Tea Party, I remember.
Yeah, I don't know. A lot of them are sort of still around, but I don't really know.
But you're still around. It's amazing that you guys have from 1998, right?
That's when Jimmy and I were like, let's do this.
Yeah.
But the band really started playing like in New York in 2001. So yeah.
And how the music's changed for you guys since then to now, like 20 years after?
It's just wild. I mean, it's like, I remember, we feel like, I think we've been through like all these different sort of storms, you know, like the fact that we can remember when it was like CDs are going to be out, like they're not going to use CDs anymore. This is crazy. And it's like, you know, but now you could like burn your own CDs. Like we were sort of like the OG iTunes, you know. We had like this very primitive website where we had a list of songs, and our fans could go on the website, choose the list of songs they wanted in the order that they wanted. We would literally burn a CD and like mail it to them.
Wow.
Know? Like, this is something that we actually did in our lifetime. It feels like that's something like my great-grandfather would have done.
And it wasn't that long, you know. It's like...
No, it wasn't that long ago.
No,
it was like, you know, it was like 20 years ago.
Yeah,
exactly.
2001 or 2.
That's crazy.
Because we were in LA.
Yeah, I mean, I was only 8 at the time, you know.
But you know what? He had 5 years...
well, yeah, when you started, I was 2 years old.
In his body.
Welcome.
I hope you were a fan at the time.
That's right. Born to rock.
Fan, yeah.
Born rockin', yeah.
No, but you were also part, like, of one of the greatest music scenes in the past, I don't know, 25 years, you know? Like, when you started, there were so many great bands starting, even like The Strokes, Interpol, Yeahs. So how was it back then? Because it's a scene that, Mexicans won't let go, you know, like we all love those bands so much. I mean, the Strokes are playing tonight in Mexico City. So how was it being a part of that scene and of that time?
It was so inspiring. Like, it was crazy. Our loft had all these people living at it, like TV on the radio, and yeah, such good music. And Stars, our friends from Montreal, and then members of the Yeahs, members of Liars, who I also thought were amazing. And then, of course, you had the Strokes kind of like leading this thing. And we had been in England just before that all kind of started happening. And we were kind of like, got our first dose of like the mainstream, like major label world of doing demo deals and just like trying to get...
Salud.
You know, just really sad sort of a way to try to be a musician, because they were like, don't play a show, like the buzz is too huge. Like, it was all about like being a recording artist and like Craig David or whatever, like all those boy bands and all that stuff in the late 90s. And then we were like, this isn't happening. We came back to New York right in time to meet Josh and Jules and be like, we're just going to be a live band, which wasn't a thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the Strokes made it cool again to be like in a band with your friends and like wear a jacket. And, you know, it really was such an amazing moment.
Do you think that can happen again? Because, well, you know, and at least in Mexico City, we have a really cool scene, band scene, but it's like underground. It's not as mainstream as it used to be back then. So do you think that can happen again with bands, not with trap or anything?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if it can happen in the past, it surely can happen in the future. It doesn't really look like it right now, but that doesn't really...
But it feels that vibe, you know. I think there's a lot of new bands that are pushing hard because it's really hard now. I mean, you can put your music and everybody can hear it, but you need a lot of money maybe to invest in people know you and... always been that way, I think. No, I mean, when you guys start,
it's hard to say because it's. I know what you're getting at, because on the one hand, it seems like it'd be easier because you can just make something, put it up on Spotify, but then what? And like, for us, it was literally burning CDRs, and then when I think about promoting shows, like, how it used to be forever, not just in our time, but like literally forever, like the Rolling Stones. You just have posters.
Yeah.
There was nothing else, and now I don't know what you're supposed to do as a young band starting.
I mean, if you think about when that happened in 2001, it's not like RCA signed the Strokes and poured $5 million into the marketing campaign, and that's how we all heard about the Strokes. It happened because there was like a critical mass of people that needed that music at that time. They were sick of the Backstreet Boys, and they were sick of everything else that happened in the late 90s, and they needed it to happen. So if people need something to happen and it happens at the same time, then critical mass will take over and make something,
totally. And what is the secret to have a long career? Because that's also a challenge too, I think. Because we all hate our bandmates at one point.
Well, that is the trick. And the trick is to never hate your bandmates.
Exactly.
If you stay together, you'll stay together.
Yeah, totally agree.
I already fucked up.
Oops.
You missed the train.
No, I love them. We have a lot of conflict inside the band, but I love them.
Yeah.
It is like family.
You gotta just learn to love the conflict.
Yeah, totally. And well, now touring is obviously too different for you than when you started out. But when you started out, how was touring? Because you were saying you were in the UK and then you went to New York. But how did it happen when you were a new band?
Well, it was pretty hilarious. I mean, the joke was we would tell ourselves we were on tour, but it was actually that we were just driving a minivan across the country from New York to LA and stopping at maybe one place in the middle in Chicago or something and playing like the tiniest show. Those were really like challenging times, but I think that was the level of commitment. We were all like, this is what it takes. Yeah. And truthfully, it was cheaper to just be in the van driving away than trying to like pay rent in these cities. And that was back then, So we just we certainly like booked our own stuff to begin with. In New York, we did the classic, there's a sort of a sequence that you can climb of venues there, like the Mercury Lounge, which we would have booked ourselves. We didn't have an agent. Like it'd be like you take your CD to the Mercury Lounge and they'd play it, or they'd book you. Yeah. And then we built our way up to the Bowery Ballroom, which was like mind blowing. It's such a cool venue. It's not big, but it feels like such a important place. Mm-hmm. That's where I saw the Strokes for the first time. It was so amazing. And then I think way later we got like a residency at this place called the Silver Lake Lounge in LA. That was kind of like, that was a really important moment. But it was a while before we were actually touring other than just driving the minivan across the country.
And I think that it's like the success was like creeping up under us, and we were just sort of so exhausted for 2004, 5, 6, 7, that it was like, it wasn't until we kind of like took a break and came back to it that we realized we'd accomplished something by endless touring and such endless work, and
it takes you in the head, right? It's like you start feeling crazy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. We definitely were feeling crazy.
Yeah. That's crazy. Okay, guys, let's hear Doomcrawler. That is your latest single, and we will come back, all right?
Yeah.
Vamos a escuchar Doomcrawler de Metric aquí en la Hora de la Bestia. Y bueno, si quieren preguntar algo por el Twitch, ahí saben que pueden darse con todo. Ya regresamos. Ok, estamos de regreso aquí con Metric. Estábamos mostrándole unos videos de la terraza. Y bueno, ahí sonó el último sencillo. What's new on this album? Is any kind of difference between the past? What you guys think is...
Well, Doomscroller, I would say, is a pretty major piece. That's the first time we've done a 10-minute epic. It opens the album. But as usual, it's like sonically we're trying to push electronic and rock at the same time and glue it all together with like love.
And when is it coming out? Because we
July
don't know.
8th. July 8th, yeah.
That's amazing. I'm excited.
Yeah, we are.
I just figured out when I became a fan of yours, it was with Scott Pilgrim. But I didn't find out it was your music until way later.
Yeah,
I think that's a common thing. I think that's the case. That's
that's crazy because Alex is really influenced by that movie. It's like, look at him. Yeah. So we have to say goodbye because you guys are tight schedule. But thank you so much for coming. And yeah, you know, this is your home, whatever you guys want to do.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank
hopefully
you.
We have surprises with you guys.
Great.
Right
Into it. Thank you so much.
Gracias, muchísimas gracias. Bueno, let's say goodbye with the other new single, All Comes Crashing. And bueno, muchísimas gracias a Metric.
Nice.
Ya regresamos.